everybody always talks about, oh, once you hit 40, your health just changes. And it's, it's a running joke, and it's pervasive throughout our society that if you are hitting 40, it's all downhill. You can just expect to, have a lot of extra weight, to be tired all the time, to have joint pain, not to be able to sleep, just to be a little bit depressed and a little bit anxious, and that's just middle age. When I was 38, I had a major surgery after being chronically ill for years and years. So I had Meniere's disease, and I tried all of the treatments. I did, it's medication, lots of medication, surgeries, outpatient, and then injections, and those didn't work. And it was just not being managed, and I had really low quality of life. So I opted for the labyrinthectomy, which is a major invasive surgery. My hearing was already gone, so pretty much was really bad. It sounded like when people would talk, it would sound like Charlie Brown's teacher. Wah, wah, wah. It just was very distorted. And interestingly, I had learned how to, over the years, my hearing had gradually diminished. And so I didn't realize this for a long time, but my brain had learned how to read lips. So I decided to find a specialist to do a labyrinthectomy, where they go in and they drill out your inner ear. I realized about a year later that I had gained a significant amount of weight because I did not go back to work after I had that surgery. I was a full-time stay-at-home mom, and I had gained a significant amount of weight, and I thought, well, it's time to lose weight. And so that began a 10-year path of being skinny is healthy, is what I always used to think, and calorie restriction and yo-yo dieting, and it all kinds of different gimmicks and fad dieting. Along the way, things happened in my life, I started struggling with different types of inflammation, and I was becoming more and more withdrawn, socially anxious. My anxiety was going up, up, up. And, I had lots of brain fog and just kind of like midlife slump. By that time, I was about 50 pounds overweight in 2019 at the age of 44. I made the connection for the first time in my life that something I ate affected the way I was feeling and caused this reaction. It's like, oh, I got immediate feedback from something I ate. And while at the moment, January of 2023, I was 47 and I was trying to lose weight, but when I had that reaction to eating something, it finally made the connection. I finally made the connection that I got that immediate negative feedback. That led me on this path of learning that the foundation, the most important, the building block of health, in my opinion, is nutrition and what you're eating. I started learning all of these principles of actually being nourished, eating nourishing food and eating nutrient dense food, and not trying to follow all these gimmicks and lists of combinations of different ingredients. That I could do this very simply, and not easy in the beginning especially, but simply eating animal fat, animal protein, beef, butter, bacon, eggs, carnivore diet, lion diet, dairy, any of those types of whole foods, but eliminating veggies, eliminating fruit, eliminating all carbs, and eliminating all sugar. And for the first time in my life, I was finally eating food that nourished my body, and I was being full, and I wasn't getting hungry while I was dieting because I wasn't restricting. I was eating until I was full and fueling my body. And I learned what fuel my body uses the best, which is beef, butter, bacon, eggs, salt. I still drink coffee. I might get into a lot of trouble. The carnivore police might come and say, give me your carnivore diet card. That's fine. I'll just have another one made up. I also learned about mindful eating. I have had a long history of emotional eating and, actually binge eating and disordered eating in that respect. I've had that since I was a young person, a kid, and I started to learn about eating food to nourish my body and to fuel it, and not as a replacement or emotional crutch. And so that healed as well. And that has been an incredible lesson to learn about myself. I just was able to let go of all of these myths or these things that we've always been told, you got to drink 98 ounces of water. What's your body weight times ounces, whatever. Drink when you're thirsty. I drink coffee and water. That's all I drink. That's just unflavored seltzer, water, and like I said, coffee. I put butter and salt in my coffee, and actually occasionally, most of the time I put protein powder in it. It's a beef isolate. It's very clean and it's delicious. So really the most foundational piece for my health over the age of 40, actually 45, is nutrition. And so it was about 9 months of eating the carnivore diet from January, of 2023 until about the fall that I was really working on just the food, just the nutrition portion, and getting the hang of that. And so in the first 9 months of the carnivore diet, I lost 35 pounds. Started thinking about some other principles, and I started thinking about my grandmother. She had lived a really long, healthy life. And I thought, well, what habits did she do on a daily basis? I started hearing more about longevity and things I could do naturally to, help my overall health. The second most important thing is sleep. I used to struggle so much with falling asleep because I would have intrusive, racing thoughts to the point where I could not fall asleep for, a good long time. My family and I, we could not discuss anything that might upset me before I'd have to go to bed. Like from 7 on, nothing upset. Don't upset mom. Don't upset mom, because I would just obsess and fixate on these intrusive thoughts. What if a tree falls on our house? Like outlandish, outrageous, unreasonable, intrusive thoughts. And I noticed in the beginning, after I was eating a carnivore diet for, I don't remember exactly, but maybe 2 months, that my racing thoughts had gotten much better at night and during the day, but especially at night. And I was able to fall asleep for the first time in 15 years. I started learning more about how important sleep is. And I used to be a person that loved sleeping all the time, naps, sleeping in, staying up late because I couldn't sleep, I couldn't fall asleep. And, all the time sleeping. And now I'm completely different. About 9-10 months into my health journey, I started waking up naturally with the sunrise. And I have never been a morning person. That was an incredible discovery. I started sleeping through the night, not waking up multiple times at night. I was able to sleep where I didn't have restless legs. I was having that constantly when I would lay down to go to sleep with the racing thoughts, and that healed pretty quickly. So by month 9-10, I was sleeping through the night, waking up with the dawn, and finally getting restorative sleep that I don't know if I've ever gotten. So movement, this is really important. First summer of 2023, I started wanting to go outside and walk more. And like I said, I've never been that kind of person. I didn't even like going outside. So we just do natural movements, and that's walking outside. And walking is fantastic. Now it's winter and I'm not going outside quite as often, but I am going for walks. And if it's really nasty weather, what I've been doing are push-ups against the countertop, just standing push-ups, and squats, just air squats, jumping jacks, just some kind of movement, because now I have so much energy that I have to get it out through movement. And like I said, this isn't something, I didn't do any kind of weight training, which would be fantastic. Strength training is fantastic, especially if you're older. For women, muscle is very protective, and you will want to move more. I think I wanted to move more. It wasn't something that I thought I have to do this. Circadian rhythm. I talked a little bit about that with my sleep, but getting up and going outside and seeing the sunrise, because I'm waking up naturally. I woke up at like 6:30. It was dawn. I got up, I went outside, and I walked in my driveway. It's cold, it was 30 degrees, but I did a couple of laps and I saw the sun in my eyes. You know, I didn't stare at the sun. And then seeing it at night, at sunset, watching the sunset, being outside and having the exposure on our skin and on our eyes is so important. And it matters. It really helps control. It really helps level out like cortisol, which I can get stuck in fight or flight. But these are the natural rhythms and the natural ways to be healthier. It really does make a difference. I talked about the blue blockers. If it is nighttime, the sun is down and I'm looking at screens, I put on my blue blockers. I just use clip-ons. Nature, going outside in nature. A lot of people talk about grounding, and I love to ground. All these things I used to do as a kid, you know, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do that. So I go outside. Now, I haven't been doing it this winter, but there's a way if you can't get, you know, your bare feet in the grass because it's cold, or you're, you know, live in an apartment or have a balcony. One thing I did read was you can touch like leaves, you can hug a tree. I feel like a hippie, but we have like some bushes outside our front door and I just touch them, you know. Anything like that though is going to, it's very natural, and I think it's good for us. So I do grounding, but being outside in nature. So a lot of these things you hit all at once. Like if you take a walk outside at dawn, or, you know, in the early morning, you're hitting all three of these things. So you're doing them consecutively. No, it's hitting all of these. It's pulling all of these levers at the same time. So it's not like you have to think, oh, well, what about grounding today? What about, you know, nature? They're combined. So, and they're free. They're free. And they really do move the needle on your health. Community is really important for our health, all around health, spiritual health, mental health, physical health. And one way I found community was through social media. So first off, it started on YouTube. And then Instagram. So I was watching so many videos of people, just regular people, and, you know, doing a carnivore diet, and just people that were doing something that I was interested in, wanted to learn more about, and tried, because nobody in my real life was doing this. Nobody in my real life had even heard of it. And they were, you know, I told everybody I was going to only eat meat. And they were like, okay, there she goes again with these, you know, half-brained, half-wit ideas. But it turned out, it worked out in my favor. So having those connections, even though it's, you know, online, those are so important, because they can really come through for you when you're struggling with something and nobody in your real life can understand, and to make you feel less alone. So, and actually recently, I'm new to TikTok. I recently changed my mind on. You know, I was really never going to do TikTok. I didn't understand it, you know, blah, blah, blah. But TikTok is actually, after I have used it for several weeks, I have found it has a great community network also. And it's all about sharing information. You do need to, I do know that I have to manage my social media usage, but every person that has a smartphone is going to have that trouble. So managing that, which leads me into this point, coping with stress management. Life is going to have stressful events, period, full stop. There's no way around stress. People are going to get sick. People are getting older. There's going to be stress with families, with work, with health, all of that, and finding a good way to manage it, a healthy way of managing it. And, you know, for me, that's spending time with my family or reading. I love to read. I don't know if you could tell, you know, and again, you can use different things to cope with stress. Getting out of the house, if I take a drive, if I have to take one of the kids to work, or, you know, walking So you're hitting all of these things at the same time. Those are some of the factors that have really helped my health improve and keep it maintaining this way of life and maintaining this health, this optimal, having my health optimized. I forgot like the most important tip that I wanted to tell you. It's not the most important. It's actually the reason I forgot. It's because it's like a little brain, it's like a hack. And so every morning I go outside, like I told you, and right now it's like 30 degrees. So I try to do something that makes me feel uncomfortable, physically uncomfortable for, every day, once or twice a day. So right now it's about 30 degrees and it's cold. And so, I'm coming out here. Again, I'm outside, I'm in nature. I can hear the birds. Can you hear them? Sometimes I can hear the cows way up in the pasture, up there. And I stand outside and I get cold, like especially now that breeze just came by. And I try to do that a couple of times a day because we have become so accustomed to creature comforts, like at night we have heated mattress pads, and we have all of these cozy little comforts, and our bodies are designed to have some testing, to have some stress. So like right now in the winter, getting cold, I think that's good for you. And also doing things that I usually, procrastinate. Like I hate to unload the dishwasher. I don't know why. I really don't understand why, because the dishes are clean. So, but I do. And so I try to do those things first thing, get them out of the way, and then I feel better mentally. That's just my final healthy hack. Life is full of ups and downs. It can't be great all the time. It's not going to be the best day of your life every single day of your life. And that would be so boring, honestly. You can't appreciate the great and the blessings if you don't have some trials. And that's life. All right, so I'm getting ready to go to get some of my labs checked and talk to my functional nurse practitioner. So be on the lookout for a video coming that, we'll be talking about my labs. And, one of my results was pretty high, and what I'm doing to get that, in better alignment to be optimized. Hey. All right, bye.